When I asked Booker T. Washington to dinner, I did not devote very much thought to the matter, one way or the other. I have great respect for Booker T. Washington, for all of the work that he has done. It is not hyperbole to say that he is a great American. He has achieved great successes, particularly his efforts in establishing the Tuskegee Institute, thereby ensuring success for generations to come. And I have consulted with him on numerous occasions regarding the problem of filling government positions based on merit rather than on loyalty. And so, on October the 16th, 1901, it seemed perfectly natural to ask him to dinner to talk over such matters as we already had discussed. Our youngest boys, Archie and Quentin, were finally moving into the White House, and this was to be their first formal dinner. And an old friend, Philip Stewart, from my hunting days, had already been invited and was coming over. And my wife, Edith, was a gracious hostess, and she could welcome a cowboy as well as a countess. So, rather than interrupt my son's first dinner at the White House, why not invite Mr. Washington to dinner and have discussions over work afterwards? And so I dashed off a quick note of invitation to send to him at the hotel. The fact that I experienced a moment's qualm over inviting him because of his colour made me ashamed of myself, and made me hasten to send the invitation all the faster. Mr. Washington came to dinner. We dined, we laughed, we talked, the whole lot of us, young and old. Mr. Washington and I retired to the Red Room, where we discussed matters of appointments. I went to bed, he went to the hotel, and I dare say neither of us thought very much more about it until the next morning. Then the newspapers came out. Word had reached the press of Mr. Washington's arrival at the White House. The Southern publications seemed particularly incensed by the matter. I wish I could tell you it was because I broke Southern protocols by mixing business with pleasure. One of the bylines from the Atlanta Constitution read, "Probably the first Negro ever entertained at the White House." That was one of the more polite pieces to come out of such newspapers. One newspaper said, "He has not inflamed the anger of the Southern people. He has excited their disgust." But as things turned out, I am rather glad that I invited Mr. Washington to dinner, as the clamour aroused by the very act made me realize that the act itself was necessary. But it never, to be clear, it never diminished my appreciation or my respect for Mr. Washington. And it was far from the last time that I made sure Mr. Washington came to Washington.